So what's it like to know that you've been a part of something that's so culturally significant? Because to me, to this day, at 17 is one of the greatest songs ever. One of the most profound, iconic. It's like literature. I mean, it lives so profoundly.
I'll tell you two parts of that story. Part one is that I had a couple friends from Columbia Records drop by, and every time they'd walk in, they'd say, you know, you're making a hit record. You're making a hit record. And it started to make me a little jittery. And then I started to mix the album there between the lines at 914, our studio in Blauvelt, New York, while simultaneously it was the birth of Bruce Springsteen. I'll tell you more about that in a bit. But while we were making the album and mixing the album, I would start to run into my little office and listen to Carole King's Tapestry album, and everything that they did sonically on that Tapestry album, I was trying to imitate on the Janis Ian album. And as it turns out, we had to finish mixing the album of Between the Lines in New York City at Columbia Studios, just based on budget and based on other circumstances that were happening. I was selling the studio and time was running out, and the Springsteen was occupying a whole lot of time, and there was some other stuff going on there business-wise and legally. And I mixed the album and then moved to mix Janis's album and moved to Southern California at Neil Diamond's request.
Mm-hmm.
And then my first job in L.A. was working with Art Garfunkel on his breakaway album, his solo debut.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Perry producing, and they called me to engineer. And while we were making Artie's record with I Only Have Eyes for You and so forth and so on, Art came into the control room one day and said, didn't you produce his Janis Ian record called At 17? And he had a whole bunch of charts with him. He was a student of charts and graphs and things. And I said, yeah, I did that record. And he said, looks like you're in your final days of poverty. And that's how I knew the Janis Ian album was breaking, or the single was breaking.
Wow.
Welcome to the world of Cabarabia, the world where Broadway, jazz, comedy, and pop share the spotlight, and a 2-drink minimum. With your host, producer, director Clifford Bell, keeping the world safe for live performances in intimate settings on Global Voice Broadcasting.